This was a decent movie, but I was a bit confused by the ending and the fact that they gave Heath Ledger like two daughters on this movie, but really only one of them matters. So, not really sure why they did that. It was kind of dumb. Like, why? Because really only one matters to the plot. The other one isn't really there. But, anyways. Um, so, this movie is about Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal, two men that need a job, they get a job, and they fall in love together with a very toxic relationship. Both ways, really, but mostly with Heath Ledger's character. Because, I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal's character, the first scene when we find out that, if this wasn't a movie, it wasn't as iconic and as popular as it was, and still is, we would have found out they're gay in this scene. But in the very first scene where we, find out they're gay, Heath Ledger is, like, drunk when he comes on to him. And the scene's definitely kind of aggressive. And he's even like, what are you doing? And he kind of like fights it for a little bit, but then just kind of gives in. So it's, I don't know. It's kind of like rape. So, I don't really know what I'm supposed to think about that. Is it just something that's poorly aged? By overthinking it? I don't really think I am. And that's like the first scene where they find out that they're, romantically attracted to each other, is that scene. Anyways, so eventually, he has to leave the job because obviously he isn't going to stay at that job the whole time because it's just, a thing that happens for a few months for them to protect sheep. Surprisingly enough, there's like two people that see them, like being gay. I don't know what else to describe it. And they don't really have that bad of reactions. Like this one uncle was like, "Hey, your like dad's in the hospital or whatever or something. He might die. He most likely is gonna die." And then later we find out that that dude didn't die. But he did see them like wrestling and having fun and shit, and he had like a very weird face about it, but he doesn't say anything. He isn't really rude to them about it. And then later, the one dude comes in and he asks for the job, Jake Gyllenhaal's character. And the dude's like, I don't want you in that job because I paid you to take care of my sheep, not have the dog watch my sheep while you two had sex, which is a very fair point. He paid you to do a job, not go out there and have sex. So, but there is one that is, I'm pretty sure is supposed to be like sort of homophobic, where the girl finally admits that she knows Jake Gyllenhaal is gay, but she really could have just said from like an earlier scene where she literally saw them kissing. But no, they decided to give her like this whole complicated backstory on how she found out he was gay, which is honestly a pretty good story. Honestly, think they should have just stuck with that and that only, and not the whole kissing thing. Have her be oblivious for super long. But basically, Heath Ledger, tells her that Jake Gyllenhaal is just a fishing buddy that lives far away, so they just go fishing when, they leave together and shit. So one day she puts a note saying to bring some fish home and shit on his fishing pole, and then he comes home with no fish and the note's still there untouched. And that's when she realized, is what the scene kind of like shows, but she already knew. Should have anyway, she literally saw them kissing. But she ends up calling Jack Twist not Jack Twist, but Jack Nasty. Like, I don't know, it felt like they were going for a little bit of homophobia there, but more subtle. Heath Ledger gets pissed at her because he is, a very aggressive dude in this movie. And, that ends their relationship, like, permanently. She's already seeing a dude that we saw in, like, one scene where, like, Heath Ledger drops off the kids at work because he has, like, a shift that he really needs to do because he needs the money, like the sheep or something, or like having babies or whatever. I'm not sure of the exact thing because it's been a few days since I've seen this movie. Should have reviewed it then, but I got busy. Anyway, she like drops the kids off, the kids misbehave and like break a bunch of shit, and then the guy is like, oh, that's okay, it really doesn't matter, and helps her clean it up. And then later they're having a dinner party after Heath is like divorced and shit, and he's there with the girl, so I guess they're dating now. And then we never see her or the guy again, but we see one of the daughters like 2 or 3 more times in the movie, and she's even the last character in the movie, where she talks to her dad about him coming to her wedding. And he says he'll go, and he cancels his job, finally showing that, his daughter's more important than his job. And that's how the movie ends. And he also, like, goes to Jack's parents' house and finds the shirt that Jack kept, which they hinted at Jack keeping. Because Heath left the shirt on the mountain, and Jack's like, yeah, it sucks. And he just kind of says it in a weird voice. So then later we find out that Jack kept Heath's shirt from when him and Heath fought, and there's blood all over it. So it was kind of a weird memento, but it made Heath cry, so that's cool. I don't know. I can see that they love each other, but I don't know. It's just way too toxic for me. They do truly love each other, but in their own fucked up way. Especially, once again, with Heath Ledger's character. And, it was a pretty decent movie. I really liked it. But, yeah, I guess that's really about it.